Welcome to J Stern Designs and Prom Gown Sew Along 2017. In the previous video, I showed you how to rotate a bust dart to make a princess seam. And today what I'd like to do is show you how to make a plunging V neckline. Just notice I added my seam allowances that I mentioned at the end of the last video that you needed to do. The way you do that is you just put your ruler at 1/2 inch and then just draw along. And to get the corners, just draw yourself short lines like this. All right, so that's how you get your 1/2 inch seam allowance. And this is my center front. This is my side front. I'm going to label them. Side front, center front. The bottom of my pattern is where the waist is on this pattern. So I want to have my plunging neckline be about, have the tip of it be about 5 inches above that. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is measure where I want this plunging neckline to end. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And basically I'm just going to put a dot on the line like that. The other thing is to do a plunging neckline like this, I'm going to want to have a center front seam because just in case I need to take in the center front of the bodice after it's all together, I want to have that control in this design. And because the plunging V is so close to the waist, it's a really short seam, it's not going to be distracting because this originally was cut out on the fold. So now we're going to add a center front seam. So just to remind me that I'm doing that, I'm going to add that right now. And because it's a straight line, all I have to do is draw it. So that's my center front seam allowance, clearly drawn on there. So now I know that this is going to be the tip of my plunging V, and I'm going to want the strap to be really close to the arm side. Okay, so I'm going to want my strap to actually start way over here. Okay, let me just draw my seam allowance up at the top so I can show you. All right, so right now there are my seam allowances that I have. I'm just going to draw those in. I'm going to draw a straight line from the tip of my V to the edge where the seam allowance is. All right, so you can see I have a guide here for the edge of the neckline. It's not going to be a straight line. I just wanted to put that there for a guide. The next thing is I want the straps, they're going to come straight down a certain amount of the way. So I'm just going to draw a vertical guideline. Oops. Okay, so see there's one strap. And then I'm going to do another vertical here. Okay, so you can see that the edge of my original neckline is now nowhere near where my strap is going to be. And what that's going to allow me to do is actually open this up, the neckline up some. So from this straight line, I'm going to find the center just to give myself sort of a proportion. Okay, so I have 12.5, so let's go to 6 1/4. So around here is about the center of this guideline. So I'm going to use my French curve and I'm going to curve my neckline into my strap. Maybe I'll go like this. So let's say I'm going to hit the strap somewhere, down here. So I can go like this, see? Okay, so see what I did? I sort of eased it in from straight to coming in towards the neckline. And then what I'm going to do is, let's do maybe 1/4 inch out from the guide. And what I'm going to do is use that to create the bottom portion of my plunge, like this. I started over here where I drew my strap guideline. Okay. So I drew my straight guideline here and the center front neckline here. But notice what happens when I put the side piece back. I'm just going to line it back up with the original sewing. Okay, you can see what's happening is my strap is now coming into this piece. So we're going to want to lower the whole armhole, and I'm going to start at the side seam to figure that out. Let's say we're going to lower the armhole 2 inches. Okay, so then we're going to bring this back around so it looks something like this. So I'm sort of dashing it in. Okay, so do you see how I continued my strap design around to a base of a new lowered armhole? And actually I'm going to make it more like this. All right, so now let me just do it in red. Okay, so that's now going to be the shape of my center front. And we're going to put them opposite. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the center front on top of the side front. Okay, and I can see my line through the paper. So essentially this is going to go like this now, so it matches. Okay, so this guideline is longer than it needed to be. But you can see that now I've made that even, because this is the start of the armhole right here. Okay, and then this is where it'll connect up. So if I cut this out now, let me just cut it out. Let me cut this out. Okay, so now that's my new armhole with the strap, because I want it to be right along here. Okay, I don't want it to come in, because if you have if you're designing a dress for a large bust, having coverage here to wrap around under your arm, you know, makes it a little less revealing on the sides. Okay, so that's how the armhole is designed. Now, of course, when you make a muslin of this and put it on, you know, have fitted on to whoever's going to wear it, you can drop the armhole more. You can change the width of the strap. You can do all those things. And what you would do is you would just draw on your muslin when the person is wearing it, and then you can transfer those adjustments to your pattern later. This is just to get you started. I've got my center front over here, and I've got my side front. Okay, so those are my new pieces with my armhole. The next thing is I'm going to bring in my side back piece, and you can see what's happened is I have to get that armhole to agree because the sides seem so together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line that up. I folded this seam allowance back. So let me just walk it to, okay, so you can see, and this is where the base of my armhole in the back needs to be. So I'm just going to start to draw that up, just dash it in, okay? And then I'm going to get my center back. Let me just cut it. It's occurring to me now that maybe if you're going to design all this stuff, add seam allowances later, because I have to overlap and it makes it harder for you to see. I'm sorry, I should have left them off. Okay, so you can see that this is where this is lining up. If my base of my armhole is coming in like this, right, then obviously this is going to need to do this. Okay, and it's going to turn into the strap. Now the way we get the top of the strap to agree is, let me just move this out of the way. We're going to put our fronts and our backs right together. Okay, so you can see that the front neckline is coming in and it's curving in a little bit. So for this dress, you know, I could have it come in like this. You know, so it continues that sweep and make it a little bit deeper. If I want to have a lower back, then I'd have to reshape this. So see, now that I've got this, I'd have to straighten this out. Okay, and then here's my other strap, the other side of my strap, see? Right, because it needs to agree at the shoulder. So if I wanted to keep the angle of my front wrapping around the neck, I would go this way, right? And if I wanted it to be straight through, I'd have to reshape it a little bit. So the new shape, which is what I actually did on Abby's dress, so just to keep it similar, is I went like this. I know my strap in the back is going to be shaped like this. And I can come in to my armhole like that. Okay, and then she wanted a lower back, so I'm just going to have this come down. I measured from her center back down to where the top of her bra was because I didn't want to have to deal with a special bra for this because it has straps. So you can measure where the straps are on the person wearing the dress so you know how far down you can go. And then basically you can make a guideline, like let's say it's here, and just connect that like that. Okay, so that's the back piece. So we have our strap that goes straight through the shoulder. I've designed a lower back, and I've designed the back armhole alongside the strap. Okay, let's go back and look at the side back again. Let's finish this up. So here are my two pieces. I'm going to fold back this seam allowance here. I'm going to line it up. Okay, so you can see that's going to make a pretty nice shape. So I'm going to use my my French curve to give it a nice smooth curved shape. All right, so now you can see, let me turn it around so you can see. All right, so see you've got your nice curve in the back, and you've got your curve in the center back. Okay, so now I've got the design of the straps, the center front neckline, the armhole, and the back all added to this pattern. You would add seam allowances around all of the new places that you cut, obviously. Then you're going to make your muslin, and you're going to try it on. Okay, if you have any questions about how to do that, please post them below. Basically, when you try this muslin on, you're just making this top part. We're going to worry about the skirt later. You want to put it on so the seam allowances are facing outside so you can see them, and then pin it down the center back. And I would definitely add, let's add 2 inches to our center back. So right here, I would actually extend this out 2 inches, okay, to give yourself some safety in pinning. And you might want to add an inch on the side seam, the back and the front, okay, so you can let it out if you need to. And then to fit it to the bust, all you're going to do is pin it through the princess seam to get it to fit. Okay, so if you have any questions, please post them below and I will help you. Definitely join me in the next lesson when I show you how to transfer your fitting adjustments to your pattern.